In this video we're going to be looking at something called value for money. This is a very real life context type maths problem, and the bad news, I'm afraid, is that this is specifically looking at ones where we don't need a calculator. Sorry Mr. Calculator, you've got to go. Okay, let's have a look at a typical example of this, just something to get us into the problem. Here are two different jars of syrup. One is 300 mils and costs £1.20, and the other one is 600 mils and costs £2.20. Now it's quite difficult to say straight away which one of these is the best or the most value for money because they're different amounts. So what we need to do is we need to consider, well, if they were the same amount, how much would they then cost, and now I can make a direct comparison. So I'm going to start off by looking at common multiples of 300. Now this isn't particularly difficult because you could also think of this as common multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, etc. becomes 300, 600, 900, 1200 and so on. And then I'm going to do the same for jar number B. Now hopefully you can see that there is a common multiple here, and it's actually 600. Now because 600 is the second multiple of jar A, that means I need two of those jars, and that would cost me twice the amount of money that they originally cost, so £2.40. And the other one, well, I just need the one jar of that, and it costs £2.20. Now that I'm comparing 600 mils against 600 mils, I can see quite clearly that option B is the cheapest option, and I need to make that explicitly clear when I write my answer. So let's have a look at a slightly more complicated one of these. In this example, there are two different offers on popcorn, 300 grams for £1.20 and 500 grams for £2.10. So again, I'm going to start by considering the common multiples of both of these. And again, if you're stuck on this, you can think of it as 3s and 5s rather than 300 and 500. Hopefully you can see that there's a common multiple here of 1500 grams, and that's the fifth multiple of option A, so that means 5 bags, and that would cost me £6. And on option B it's the third multiple, so that turns into 3 bags, which would cost me £6.30. Again, I need to make it really clear in my answer that option A in this case is the cheapest option. Here's one for you to have a go at. There are two different offers available, both on jars of honey. Work out the common multiples and make it very clear which one your answer is as the best value for money. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. So, I've got 400 mils and 250 mils, so I need to start by considering the common multiples of both of those numbers. And this time I have to go a little bit further with the 250 mils to get to a common multiple, but hopefully you can see that 2000 is the first number that they both have in common. So I can see that I'm going to need 5 jars of option A, and I'm going to need 8 jars of option B. The two associated costs are below, and I can see that option B is the cheapest option here by a total of 10 pence. Here's a second example for you to have a go at. Be warned, this one is a little bit trickier than the previous ones, and you may need to bring in another piece of maths knowledge from elsewhere in the curriculum. Pause the video here, have a go yourselves, hit play when you're ready for the answers. Okay, now I said that this one was going to be a bit tricky, and we'll address that when we get to it. So first of all, let's start off with what we know. Common multiples of 800, and I've just written a few out there. Then I'm going to go common multiples of 1.2 litres, and hopefully at this point you've noticed where the problem is. In option A we're talking about millilitres. In option B we're talking about actual litres themselves. So that creates a problem because I don't really know what 1.2 or how it compares to 800. So what I need to do is I need to have them talk in the same language. So I'm going to turn my 1.2 litres into millilitres. It's at this point that I remember that 1 litre is 1000 millilitres. So instead of 1.2, that's going to become 1200, and then 2400, 3600, and so on and so on. From my two lists now I can see that I've got a common multiple of 2400 or 2.4 litres. So in option A I would need 3 of those bottles at a cost of £2.70, and in option B I would need 2 of those bottles at a cost of £2.60. And again, make sure you're very clear that option B is the cheaper option in this case. Well done if you got both of those practice questions correct. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.